Good morning from wet and I was gonna say wet and miserable Seoul, but there is nothing miserable about it. Welcome to Seoul. This morning I am off to Starfield Library, and this isn't just any old library. This is where the most important chapter of my life began. In 2018, I sold all my things and packed up my life, making the move to Seoul, South Korea. Living abroad was something I'd always wanted to experience, and what I thought was only going to be 6 months to a year is still going today. So I have come here to recreate a shot that I took in one of my first videos that I ever made. I was sitting right here and I took a shot down here over Starfield Library. That video was 7 years ago, which blows my mind. I had to wait like 45 minutes to get this seat, but it was worth it. This place is still insanely busy even after all these years. When I moved here in 2018, the goal was, and actually very much still is, how do I find a way to be able to travel the world, chase fun and adventure, and basically get paid to do that? Now, I have no desire to be rich, famous, or build any kind of legacy or anything like that. It's just basically, how do I have fun, live life on my own terms, and find a way to be able to provide for that lifestyle? Well, the good thing about waiting forever to get that shot inside the library is the rain has passed, finally, so I can get out and go have some fun. When I moved to Korea, my lifestyle was incredibly basic, and this was the most exciting period of my life. I didn't need material things. I was finally living my dream, chasing adventure, making lifelong friends. Every day was fun, but I quickly learned that I needed structure. I made all the mistakes moving out here. Honestly, I could write a book on what not to do when moving abroad. First off, I lived in holiday mode for way too long, which seems to be a rite of passage for everybody moving overseas. I was able to clock this quite early on. I think within the first month, I realized I was starting to slip, and I got myself back on track there. Look, in hindsight, I may do things a little bit differently. I guess at first, when I got here, I kind of treated it a little bit like a holiday. I spent quite a bit of money on, going out and socializing and doing things and activities and stuff like that. I was able to pick up on this within the first month, or maybe after the first month, and make the lifestyle changes necessary. I wasn't really earning much at that time. I was doing some odd jobs and had a little bit of money coming in, so I had to really take control of that. I actually got into a little bit of trouble. I got into a fight really early on. This was a stupid situation. A guy was messing with me in a club. He kept banging into me over and over again, and eventually I had enough of it, and let's just say I reacted poorly. Now, South Korea doesn't have any kind of self-defense laws, so I landed myself in some trouble. What they do have is a handshake agreement, which is actually quite fascinating. So because he was the instigator of the whole thing, I could actually have charges pressed against him. He could press charges against me for hitting him, and we could basically shake hands and make a mutual agreement that we were both okay with it and basically forgive each other for that situation. Now, the story has a happy ending. We ended up shaking hands, and the guy actually took me out for a meal afterwards, which was a little awkward, but it was the policeman's suggestion, and the whole problem basically went away. Now, this is not something I would normally do. I hadn't been in a fight for many years before this, yet somehow this was a situation I'd found myself in. Culture shock is a real thing, and while I didn't expect to experience this, having traveled to Seoul 2 times prior and already having friends here, I thought it would be a smooth transition and all smiles and rainbows. But unfortunately, my mistakes were a real wake-up call for me, and from that moment on was when I really found myself here and became settled. Of course, there is a really nice park just up here, just down by the river that I wanted to come to. And as soon as I get there, or as soon as I'm just about to arrive, starts to rain again, so I'm hiding under a bus stop for now. Now, thinking back on this time, those hard lessons that I had really early on were actually exactly what I needed. And there was a clear before and after I realized I wasn't getting this right. And then from that point on, I nailed it. I was living a basic but very free lifestyle. I had great friends, was exploring other parts of the country, getting good at the language, dating, partying, and having fun. But I had found the right balance and a nice routine that I felt was sustainable. I was doing some odd jobs and earning some money. However, the outgoings were still more than what was coming in. My God, I'm basically just going from place to place to hide out from the rain. Now, I have a interesting relationship with money in that basically I never had any when I was younger. I always had stupid, expensive hobbies such as motocross racing and modifying cars. And while I always got paid okay, the majority of my money went towards those hobbies. Now, when I was young, I went and bought a brand new car on finance. And in hindsight, there's no way I should have been approved for that finance, but I guess I was a finance company's dream. The car was on a 7-year contract or plan or whatever, and when I went to sell it after owning it for over 2 years, I still owed, with all the things in the contract about breaking it and ending the finance early, I still owed on it more than the original cost of the car, and I had been paying it for 2 years. This killed me financially for years. It took me a really long time to recover from this. Never buy a car on finance. Lesson learned, but it was a brutal lesson for me at a young age. Never buy a car on finance. Gosh, what a mistake. So I have made it down to the Han River. Check this out. The rain has gone. We've even got some blue sky. Awesome. For me, to save enough to move abroad was a challenge that took many years. As I got older and earned more and became more responsible with my money, I'd finally saved enough to make the leap. So ever since the first time I traveled, I've wanted to live abroad. When I came to Korea first time, I had a great time here, met so many great people, and just really loved the experience here, so I decided to come here. Now, I said I have an interesting relationship with money. When I moved here, I realized I didn't need any material things to be happy. I moved here with just 2 suitcases, and this was the happiest I'd ever been. For me, the way I like to live is money first and then build the lifestyle around that. When I first moved out here, I was living off about $1,000 a month, and I made that work very happily. These days, I earn 7 to 10 times that in any given month, and my lifestyle has adjusted to suit along the way. What I learned is it's not the dollar amount that makes me happy, so I'm not overly ambitious in chasing money. Obviously, the more the better, but having fun and freedom is still my main priority. Now, when I moved to Seoul, I started this YouTube channel in hopes of taking the world by storm and fulfilling all my hopes and dreams. But after 2.5 years of living here and 70 odd videos that I recorded, I'd made exactly $0. Now, how this all ties in, and I am going somewhere with this, don't worry, is when I first arrived here, I was hammering out the YouTube videos. One of the first videos I made was at that Starfield Library. So for me, it's been fun and nostalgic to come back and visit these places. I've been reshooting a couple of old scenes just for fun. So I'm doing something funny today. I don't know where or how I'm gonna use this. Years ago, I think it was my 2nd or 3rd video I'd ever made on YouTube on this channel. I was here and I ran across the river on these little rock things, and that scene, I always remember it was like an iconic scene to me. So I'm here today and I'm gonna recreate that scene. These days, the channel's going great. I'm earning really well. I'm able to travel and live this life of freedom. And I am now finally living out my original dream. So with that said, I think it's time for a beer. Being back in Seoul, the nostalgia has been really fun, but the thing I missed the most was my friends. What I've come to realize is I don't necessarily miss Seoul as a place, but it's the people in there and the experiences that I have really missed.
I was like hella rusty at first because I haven't spoken for like fucking 5 years, dude. Like, so this is my mate Jung Ho, and tonight we've come to get some Korean barbecue. So we're eating some beef now, and then we've got some pork belly that we will have after. But this restaurant is really, really good.
Living in South Korea opened my eyes to a different way of life. What has been a 7-year journey for me now has me living the dream of that guy that packed up everything and took a chance moving to a foreign country. This return to Seoul was a trip down memory lane and a nice reminder to never give up on your dreams.